Hi, hello, namaste everyone. Welcome to the final episode of Golden Drops and Healing Breath. And I'm your host, Dr. Ria, and this is episode 7, our final journey together. We began this series by tracing ancient pathways of pediatric care. We have explored the science of breath, the quiet power of ritual, the architecture of developmental milestones, and today we arrive at the horizon, where classical insight meets modern discovery, where golden drops of Swarnaprashan and gentle breath of Nasya converse with the firing synapses and plastic landscapes of developing brain. And this is future perspective, bridging Ayurveda and modern neuroscience. Let's begin with the truth. Both systems hold dear. The child's brain is not a fixed structure, it's a living, breathing, ever adapting canvas. Modern neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Ayurveda speaks of ojas and bala, the vital essence that fuels growth, neural resilience, and cognitive emergence. When we observe pediatric neurodevelopment, we are watching synaptic pruning, myelination, and sensory integration unfolding in real time. Ayurveda has long mapped this rhythm through Medhyasayana, the herbs and formulations that nourish the mind, sharpen cognition, and steady the nervous system. Take Swarnaprashan. In classical texts, it's prescribed not as a ceremonial novelty but as Lehan Karma, a medicated bolus or paste designed for gradual sustained assimilation. In children navigating neurodevelopmental challenges, it may be administered daily for 6 months under careful clinical supervision. For healthy children, tradition recommends monthly doses on day of Pushya Nakshatra continuing until age of 16. But why this rhythm? Ayurveda recognized that seasonal shifts, metabolic cycles, and even lunar alignments influence tissue nourishment. Modern chronobiology and neuroendocrinology are now echoing this idea, very showing how timing, circadian alignment, and consistent low dose neuronutrition can optimize neural plasticity and cognitive support. Now let's consider Nasya therapy. The Asian physicians have already declared Nasa hi Shirso Dwaram, that nose is indeed doorway to the brain. What the poetry it is. What anatomical precision. That today we know the olfactory pathway connects directly to the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, and the trigeminal nerve. Nasal administration isn't merely local, it's a direct conduit for central nervous modulation. In pediatric sensory regulation, gentle, age appropriate nasya can help calm hyperreactive neural circuits, support vagal tone, and create a window for cognitive receptivity. And then there is Bija dosha, the concept of constitutional predispositions carried in seed. Modern epigenetics tells us that environment, nutrition, and early stress leave molecular markers on our DNA. And Ayurveda didn't have sequencing machines, but it had generations of observation. And it taught us to treat the lineage, not just the symptom, to fortify this foundation before it fractures. Now, yet, for all this wisdom, we stand at a crossroad. Pediatric neurology clinics are flooded with questions that Ayurveda has held for millennia, but wisdom without validation remains a whisper. We need more clinical trials, not token studies, but rigorous, large scale, longitudinal pediatric trials that honor both paradigms. Pratyaksh Anumana Upnagma Pramanani, that direct perception, inference, and comparison and authoritative testimony are valid means of knowledge. Evidence based Ayurveda doesn't mean stripping it of its soul, it means building bridges. We need standardized dosing protocols, transparent ingredient sourcing, clear inclusion criteria, long term safety monitoring. We must collaborate. Ayurvedic physicians, neurologists, developmental pediatricians, biostatisticians, and neuroimaging specialists working as one interdisciplinary team. The goal isn't to replace modern neurology, but to expand its toolbox and to ask, can Methylrosine protocols reduce polypharmacy in attention disorders? Can Nasya supported autonomic regulation improve sensory processing outcomes? Can August building nutrition alter the trajectory of mild developmental delays? These are not rhetorical questions. They are research blueprints and they demand our patience, our rigor, and our humility. But science alone doesn't heal children. It takes a village. Let's speak plainly to the three pillars of this ecosystem. First of all, to the parents, you are the first observers, the first defenders of your child's nervous system. Embrace preventive pediatric Ayurveda responsibility. Track developmental milestones with care. Celebrate subtle shifts, the first steady gaze, the calmer sleep, the improved focus. But please avoid self medication. The child's metabolism is delicate, and what nourishes one may overwhelm another. Seek guidance, ask questions, partner with trained practitioners. Matra pitram kritam yat syat tat balasya priyam hitam. That what is lovingly and thoughtfully done by mother and father is truly beneficial for child. Next to the practitioners. Practice with reverence and restraint. Ayurveda is not a shortcut, it's a classical science of individualized care. Honor the Prakriti, assess the Agni, monitor Dhatu formation, document everything, communicate openly with pediatric neurologists, therapists, and school counselors. Bridge the gap when modern diagnostics meet classical assessment, the child wins. And the last to the researchers. You hold the lantern. Design trials that respect Ayurvedic paradigms while meeting modern scientific standards. Explore integrative neuroscience models. Map biomarkers. Use fMRI, EEG, and cognitive testing alongside Ayurvedic outcome scales. Bring this tradition into mainstream pediatric neurocare not through dogma but through reproducible, peer reviewed evidence. You know what? I imagine a clinic 10 years from now, not an alternative space, but a truly integrative one, where a developmental pediatrician reviews an EEG, then consults an Ayurvedic specialist about Ojas restoration and Medhya support, where parents receive a care plan that blends speech therapy, sensory integration, and classical Lehan Karma, all tracked through shared digital health records where research centers publish joint studies in neurology and Ayurveda journals, speaking the same language of data, dignity, and child centered care. This isn't fantasy, it's the next evolution of pediatric medicine, and it's already taking shape in the quiet determination of practitioners who refuse to choose between tradition and innovation. Now, and so as we close this series, I want to leave you with a truth that lives in my chest every time I step into a pediatric ward or sit with a family holding a diagnosis like fragile glass. Every child deserves to be seen wholly, not as a cluster of symptoms, not as a developmental curve to be forced into standard, but as a living, breathing, unfolding miracle. A child's nervous system doesn't just learn to walk or speak or focus. It learns how to feel safe in world, and when we offer care that only treats the surface, we leave deeper architecture untouched. Holistic healthcare isn't a luxury, it's a birthright. It means combining precision of neuroimaging with the wisdom of seasonal routines. It means honoring both neurotransmitter and ojas. It means never asking parent to choose between Asian tradition and modern medicine because future of pediatric neurocare must hold both gently in the same hands. And we owe them that, not just our science, not just our rituals, but our reverence. So, thank you guys for walking this path with me. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, questioning, and believing that healing can be both ancient and new. Now, this has been my final episode 7, the final chapter of Golden Drops and Healing Breath. Until my next podcast or my next series. May your homes be filled with mindful breaths, your children nurtured by timeless wisdom, and your practice always guided by compassion. So now we will meet again in the next podcast in the future years. Till then, stay healthy and a very, very, very good luck and wishes for whatever you are achieving, and may your children be remain always happy and healthy. The ancient whispers, modern science lessons, and the child finally is heard.